what's going on, man? Good evening, good evening, good evening, man. I'm so excited and so happy, and I want to welcome you guys back to the Conversation 98 for another great episode. And I look forward to the conversation today. Just so happy, man, to be back before you guys again. It means the world to me, and I appreciate your support. Appreciate you guys tuning in. I look forward to this. On a weekly basis. But besides that, man, thank you again for rocking with your boy. Um, this week conversation, I feel like it's going to be a real good one. Dealing with some stuff I feel like relevant. That's what the whole goal is, to be relevant in the sense of conversations that people deal with, may not talk about, but people deal with on a day-to-day basis. And I just wanted to share this and get it out there. But again, let me know where you're tuning in from. Make sure if you want to interact. And we're gonna get through it. We won't be before you long today, but I'm gonna share this with a few more people, and we're gonna get right into it. But again, man, thank you guys so much. I look forward to the conversation. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Having some issues with this, but if it don't come up, I know who I need to talk to. But I want to start off saying happy Veterans Day to all the veterans out there, those that have served and those that are serving. Salute to you. Been participating, being in the military myself for a while, for a long time. Exactly 55% of my life. So that's something that I hold dear to me, and it means a lot to me. And I just wanted to just say, hey, thank you for your service. I salute you. Not only that, for all those who made the sacrifice to serve. You know the sacrifice, what it is. You know all what it is to get up every day and to serve, to serve yourself, to make a commitment to serve something greater than you. And that's what I wanted to salute you guys and thank you again. Again, man, before we get started, you see, have my social media platforms up here. You can go follow me at The Conversation 98 on YouTube, the Conversation 98 on Instagram, at 98 Conversation on Twitter, X, whatever it is right now. The Conversation 98 on here on Facebook, and as well as at The Conversation _98 on TikTok. But again, man, thank you guys so much for rocking with me, and feel free to comment and we can get you into this conversation. But we're going to go ahead on and get started. Won't be before you long, but tonight's conversation is understanding the difference between being present and being there for someone. Because there's a lot, sometimes people confuse being present as if it's being there for somebody. And your presence is important. It is very important. Presence is half the battle, but present is not full credit, if that makes sense. Because being there for somebody takes a deliberate effort to be there, to meet the needs of the person, or to be there in a way that person may need you to be there. Just because you're present doesn't mean that you're there. And you have to understand that difference, because a lot of times we feel like as long as I'm present, then I have done my part. But what many people don't realize is just simply being present has done a lot of damage to people, more damage to people in relationships than a lot of people would ever recognize. Hey, good evening, Mama. How you doing? Good evening to you. Good evening. I'm glad we back in the building. Good evening to you. And I just wanted to say that so I really want people to understand that, right? Understanding the difference. There is a difference between being present and being there for somebody. Right? There's a major difference, right? And I think so many times many people feel like that they are, but that's not the truth. And the truth is, many people confuse being present, and they take for granted that they are present, and they feel like that should count for being there for somebody. And a lot of people in relationships, a lot of parents, a lot of fathers feel like just because I'm there, then that makes me, that gives me credit for just because I'm present, that gives me credit for being there. But yeah, you're present, but you're not there emotionally. You're present, but you're not there to meet the needs. You're not there to be there for them. You're not there to meet those intimate needs as far as with, encouragement. You're not there to be present. You show up to games, but you're doing work. You see what I'm saying? You steady checking your emails on your phone, but you're not in the moment. And a lot of times what people fail to realize is being in the moment is really being there for somebody instead of just being present. And many people forget that, and they destroy a lot of relationships because of that. My mom said this. She said, present versus presence, right? Present versus presence. And that's a big thing because that is a big thing. I'm glad that you said that, right? Because many of us are present, but we are not present. We don't have a presence in the space. And we can show up every day, right? We can be there, right? And we can be consistent, and we can feel like we should get credit for being consistent. And in some cases, yes. But just because you are present, Present, doesn't mean that you have a presence. Your presence is an embodiment of being there, right? There's an embodiment of being there. Just because I'm in a house don't mean my presence is felt. My presence is felt due to my willingness to invest and interact, right? And see and put forth the effort to be there for somebody and to meet their needs, because so many people needs aren't met by people who are present, by people who are there every day, who feel like, well, you should know I love you, or you should know that I care, but you just was present. You didn't put forth no effort. And people have to deal with that neglect. People have to deal with that. And I know a lot of people don't like to talk about it, but it's the truth. And the truth is this, right? The truth is many people suffer from neglect of people being present, right? But they are not there for them. And that is a neglect that eats at the soul of somebody, because it is a willful neglect, or it is an intentional neglect, and it is a disrespectful neglect, because the person who is present feels like that just because they were there, they should get credit for just being there for that person, right? To being there, but they're not. They are present. Their body is there, but physically there, but mentally they are not there, right? Emotionally they are not there, right? And meeting the needs, or even caring about being there for somebody. And a lot of people want credit for it, but it is a form of neglect when you are present, but your presence is not there. You are physically present, but mentally you're not there. And that's a form of neglect that many people have to deal with and live with and battle with on a day-to-day basis. They live with it and battle with it on a day-to-day basis. My mama said, old blues lyrics, your body's here with me, but your mind is on the other side of town. That is so true. That right there is so true. So true. And, this is something that, it goes on a lot, but I know a lot of people don't like talking about it. But, the question I want to ask, how many of us really feel like we're there for somebody, but we're only there present, like we're there in person, but we aren't there for them mentally. We aren't there for them emotionally, right? But we show up, we go home every day, right? But the thing is, we will go home and treat the people closest to us and not be there. But at the same point, when we go to work, when we go to our organizations and things outside of the house, right, we'll give all 1,000 energy. When they ask, we're there, we're offering, we're willing. And that's the big difference. And that's where neglect comes from, because many of us are willing to do things extra for people outside or that not close to us. We're more willing to do things for them than the people that are actually in the house with us, the people that are closest to us. And we feel like, well, we're justified to do that. But the reality is you have to take inventory of what you're choosing to do, because at the end of the day, no matter what, it is your choice to choose to do that. It is your choice. And it is a choice that many of us choose to do. My mama said it's hurting. It is. It is. But don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted. Don't run out there and jump out there like a lot of people do, right? And this is one thing that I know that a lot of people don't like to talk about, but many of us as parents have failed our kids because we associate being present in the house as being there for them. And in the times where they need you, we're not there because we choose our jobs over them. We choose relationships over them. We choose all these other things over them. and they can feel the reality that they are not a priority to you, even though you take care of your obligations, you provide for them, but you are not there for them. And that's a big difference. And don't confuse you fulfilling your responsibilities, right? And just doing that as providing for someone, as actually being there for them. And that can be, and that is something especially on the child side, but also on the relationship side, because that's something that many of us have deal with and struggle with every day. We deal with it and struggle with it every day. And the reason why is, don't confuse you paying bills and providing a roof over your somebody head, right? As if you are being there for them. Your provisions doesn't equate being there. You fulfilling an obligation for somebody and meeting that obligation as far as with a provision, being providing something, does not mean that you are actually there for that person. You can pay the bills and not be emotionally available. You can pay the bills, right, and choose other people over them. You can pay the bills and willfully neglect the same people that you make a priority to take care of. And that's why I say there's a difference between being present and being there for somebody. Are you truly there for them? Are you willing to be there for them and meet the needs when they need you to meet them? Or are you just doing you? And many of us, we just do us. We just do us, and we feel like just because I choose to do me, right, then I should be good, right? And just because I meet my obligation, then I'm good, right? But we don't realize the damage that we've done. Many of us don't realize the damage that we've done. We don't realize the damage that is done to the people closest to us. We don't. And the sad reality is, many of us don't care. Don't care. We got to be careful. We have to be careful. We have to be careful because it's hard for many of us to realize just how selfishness can creep in and pride can creep in and convince us that what we're doing for somebody is good enough when they actually may need more. And I'm not talking about just financial things, right? I'm talking about being there for somebody. Many of us, we choose to just let people go on their own and not be there for them, but we'll willingly be there for other people. And I would tell you, being in relationships, being with people, right? And kids seeing their parents, and I've seen it in the church. Kids see their parents go all out for somebody else in the church, but then when they need them at the house, they come up with all these excuses, right? We got to start looking at that and start prioritizing things and put things in the right priorities, in the right perspective. Because most of us will subconsciously and not even knowing hurting the very people that we claim that mean the most to us, all because we don't realize the impact of our choices. We don't realize the impact of our choices. Many of us don't. Many of us just say, you know what? I'm just doing right. I'm doing right. And this is the thing. And I'll tell you, and this is something that I've learned from my dad, and I learned and I appreciate it. But don't get so caught up with doing the right thing that you neglect the very people that is assigned to you that should get the best of you. Because many of us, we choose and under the guise of and under the good intentions of doing good by other people. We may be working in a church or working in an organization or doing something, right? And we are serving the community. We're doing all of these things, right? But then what happens is the very people that need you, your kids, your wife, your husband, your kids, right? The people that are closer to you need you in certain ways, but you always deplete your resources to other people and never really give them what they need. Yeah, they may remain silent, but I would tell you the damage that is done, you can't even see the damage. And a lot of them live with the void because you chose to fulfill other people's need without pointing to them. And guess what? You can't minister outside and neglect your own home. You can't do that. You cannot do that. And that's a dangerous space to be in. That's a dangerous space to be in. That's why I said there's a difference between being present, right? Being present, just hey, look, you here, and being there. And oh, thank you. I like that. And that's this gonna be good, y'all. right? Being present is simply just taking role. And yeah, you are here, but just because I took role that you're present doesn't mean that you're going to get credit for doing the assignment. And many of us, we want credit for doing the assignment just because we're present. Yeah, being present is part of it, but you still got to do the work. You still got to do the work to be there for somebody. You still have to do the assignment of meeting the needs of the people, especially a lot of the people that I'm talking about, the people closest to you. Your immediate family, your spouse, your kids, your intimate loved ones, right? That's the people that I'm talking about. That many of us, we don't meet their needs the way that we should meet their needs because we don't prioritize them the way that we should. Why? It's so many different reasons of why, but what it really boils down to is our priorities are in the wrong place, and we need to fix it. We need to fix it. And it's so important for us to fix it. It is. It's very important for us to fix that because it can lead to irreparable damages that is done. Right? Mama said, answering present does fulfill the assignment. No, I don't. No, I don't. You get credit for attendance, but just because you get attendance don't mean you can pass the test. It doesn't. That don't mean that you pass the test. That don't mean that you get credit for passing the test. And don't get it wrong. I don't want nobody to misconstrue this, right? Misconstrue this at all, because being present is important. And I'm not dismissing the importance of being present. Being present is necessary, right? To be there for somebody. But but it's a two-party thing. Just because you're present don't mean that you're being there, right? And you have to look at that and take inventory of that, because we can live this four-letter word called life and get so caught up in, hey, I'm doing my job and I'm going in on my job and I'm pursuing my goals and my dreams, right? And we don't even realize that, hey, I'm not even there for my kid. I'm not even there for them. I don't even make time to talk with them. I'm not there for my spouse. I don't even make time to even talk with them. I don't date them anymore. I don't even take the time to get to know who they are, what's going on with them, because I'm so focused on me that I'm forgetting about the people I'm supposed to minister to and pour into the most. And the sad thing is, many of us, we do that and don't even realize the damage that is done. It is some significant damage that is done when we deal with that and when we go through that, right? And when we do that to others, it is some significant damage. And it's some damage, and people don't even realize, right? And I know it's hard for some people to accept, but many generational curses are passed on through people being present and not being there for somebody. And we don't even realize how it's being passed on. It's being passed on because many of us don't recognize the level of hurt that it has or what it does to somebody who has to deal with that neglect of seeing somebody be there for somebody else. And even though they see them present every day, they are not there for them. And how do I know? I'm speaking from experience. I'm speaking from a father who had all good intentions, right? Was being there for somebody else, right? That was there serving the community, pastoring and doing all these things. And he showed up and he was there for certain things, but he wasn't there the way that he should. And in the end, he had a regret that God gave him a second chance on, that he knocked it out the park. But he had to go back and readdress, dang, I was present, but I wasn't there. And we need to be careful that we don't do that. We need to be very careful that we don't do that. Ms. Geraldine, how you doing? She said, I was going to say it like being in a meeting and answering here or present. Here meaning my body here, my mind elsewhere, and present meaning I'm alert and ready for the information. You are 100% correct. You are 100% correct. How you doing, sir? Great to see you. Great to see you. Thanks for tuning in. But yes, and this right here, understanding this dynamic, it is so huge. It is a big thing. And the reason why I wanted to talk about it is because so many of us, we deal with this dynamic and we have to manage it. And I would tell you, it's a hard thing and we have to be deliberate about it. We have to be deliberate about it. We just have to be, because many of us don't even realize, but we have to be deliberate about managing the difference between being there and being present and being there for somebody. Because we have so many in our world today, we have so many requirements, we have so many things pulling from us. Just speaking for myself, you got church, you got work, you got family, you got kids with their activities, you got yourself, you got your own hobbies, you got all of these things that you're trying to balance, right? And we're trying to balance. I call them glass balls and rubber balls, and the glass balls are priority, and we treat everything as a priority, right? But we don't realize, though, right? We treat our job, we treat all these other things, but what about the things that are truly should be a priority? What about your family? What about your spouse? What about your kids? What about those relationships, right? But guess what? We go all out for our job. We go all out for these organizations. We go all out for these churches. But none of that means anything if I'm neglecting the very thing that should be number one for me. It should be number one. But it's hard for us because we get caught up with feeling like we got to do all of this stuff. And I'm not saying that you can't, but the difference is this, and a lot of people don't realize this, but the way that you can be present and be there for somebody is be deliberate about the time in which you have with that person. Being deliberate about it. Not I'm there and I'm talking to you, but I'm on my phone. Not I'm at my kid's game, but I'm checking the email and I'm working, right? No, I'm actually there. I'm actually there. I'm not doing anything different. I am there and I'm in the moment. I am present in the moment, right? And by being present in the moment and by giving my undivided attention, right? That is seriously being there, because then and only then I can recognize what they need, right? And you're right. Have an agenda. Put it down. Hey, put it on there. Break it down. Organize your time to help you out, because you may not realize it, but the people closer to you will appreciate it. The people closest to you will appreciate it. What's going on, Cornelius? How you doing? What's going on? Hey, what's up, Tyrese? He said, just because you're there physically don't mean you're there mentally. It's best to be there physically and mentally. Yes, and I would tell you, it is best to be there physically than and mentally. But one thing that we have to do, we have to look at it, right? We should just sit down and think about it. And being there mentally for somebody is way better than just being there physically. But being there mentally and physically is the best option. And the worst thing you can do is be there physically, but not mentally for somebody. And many of us, we deal with that many of us have to live with that neglect of being neglected by those that we should have depended on the most, but who was there physically but wasn't there mentally for us. And for whatever reason it is, right? For whatever reason it is, we need to take inventory and look at our lives and see where we may be falling short and where we can make those corrections. Because we don't need to have our kids or the people closest to us have to live silently with the neglect and the pains of the neglect, all because we are too prideful to take an inventory and deal with ourselves. We don't need to do that. And I'll tell you, I'm speaking from an experience, right? And this is something that I'm going to share this with you guys about the impacts of it and talking about the impacts. And I shared it before, but I can remember being being young, moving out, was in the military at 21 years old. And I was just up and I asked God, God, why am I the way I am? And God began to break down to me that I had an issue with my dad. And at first I was arguing, like, man, I ain't got no issue with my dad. What you talking about? Me and the Holy Spirit have a conversation. Holy Spirit was like, no, you got an issue with your dad. And then it started to break down. You got an issue with your dad because you felt like your daddy could have been there for you, but he wasn't there, but he was helping all these other people. And I just started breaking down this wall I had. And what that really revealed to me was that led to me trying to fill that void of having that by being by the neglect that I felt from my dad with being promiscuous and try to fill that void through sex. And then that turned me into me thinking that this is how I was and this other way. And God revealed how that spiraled out of control, all because I was trying to recover from the neglect that I had from my father. And thank him for revealing it to me. I thank God for revealing that to me. And the reason why I thank him for revealing that to me was because I did not even realize that my identity of who I was identifying myself by was rooted in my attempt to compensate from the neglect in which I got because I felt that my daddy wasn't there for me. And I thank God for that, because by recognizing that, I was able to go back, right? And I was able to go back and do a self-assessment and start looking at myself and looking at my decisions and looking at my thought patterns and looking at my mindset and realize the why behind what I was doing. Now, me at that moment when I was doing it, I thought it was 100% me just being me. That's just Shep. That's just who I was, right? I just had, you know what I'm saying? I just had it going on. But really, it was the little boy in me hurting, trying to fill a void that was there. And I thank God for allowing me to have that experience, because I was able to recognize, right? And I was able to recognize, and the same thing, thank you. I was able to work to becoming whole. And that's why when I read the Bible of the woman at the well, when Jesus met the woman at the well, it resonates with me. And the reason why it resonates with me was because I know when Jesus told her that the man you're with is not your husband, he was speaking to the wound that was on the inside. And many of us carry that wound. We carry that wound. We carry that wound of neglect, right? We do. Many of us carry that wound of neglect from somebody not being there. Somebody may have been present, but they weren't there for you. We carry that wound of neglect, and we carry that from a child into our adulthood, and we go into relationships and we try to live our lives, right? But we begin to operate. We begin to become functionally dysfunctional, and we don't understand why I have certain issues in relationships. We don't understand, and then we are so afraid to really deal with the root because we have convinced ourselves that that's not what it is. But the reality is, it is what is driving you crazy. That root thing, that root hurt of somebody not being there for you really had an impact on you. And now it's messing with your ability to even identify with who you are, because you placed your identity with the hurt. You have placed your identity with the hurt. Yeah, mama, we become functionally dysfunctional. And I hope this is helpful. Really wasn't planning to go this long, but I hope this has been helpful tonight. Again, man, it is all about sharing. I hope this was helpful to somebody. If it was, man, to God be the glory. And you got to realize, like, just because you're present, there's a difference. Understand the difference between being present and being there for someone. But there's a lot of people that need you to be there. They need you to be there, but we are not there for them. And I would tell you, be there for them. It makes a difference. And if you find yourself in that position where you may have come up short and not being there, the best thing I'll say for you to do, honestly, don't beat yourself up. Don't beat yourself up. Just go back, take inventory, right? And be deliberate about the changes that you know you need to make. Be deliberate that. Hey, Tyrese, man, love you, brother. Love you, man. Love you. He said, thanks, that helped me. What's going on in my life right now? Hey, reach out to me. Reach out to me if you need to talk anytime. Reach out to me. But I want you to really understand that, right? That there's a difference. There's a difference. And understand this. This is one thing I want y'all to understand, because I know it can be hard, right? Don't be upset at someone who may not be there for you, who are there present but may not be there for you, because some people don't know how to be there for you because they wasn't taught how to be there for you. Some people wasn't taught how to be there for somebody emotionally. Some people wasn't taught. And does that make a difference? No, I'm just saying, when you realize that, right, sometimes you may feel like that person should change their behavior. No, your healing is dependent on you dealing with what bothered you. And yes, sometimes that reconciliation may happen. They may come to you and say, hey, this, that, and the third. Hey, I acknowledge it. But a lot of times they won't. And so don't condition your healing based off of somebody else's action, because the reality is some of them don't even have the capacity to do it. Don't even have the capacity to do it. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. Hey, it's a little bit at a time. Thank you for all you've done for me. It's definitely appreciated. Definitely appreciated. And hey, you guys have a great and wonderful weekend. Hey, tune in next week. But hey, go like my social media platforms that we got it up there. Share this with somebody. And you guys have a great and wonderful weekend. God bless.